breakfast and class graciously sponsored by the Baghdadi family, La'ilui Nishmat, his beloved wife, their beloved mother, Raquel Bat Lora Alea Shalom. Yiratzon that to the words of Torah and the Berachot that the Kahal Kadosh will recite, her Neshama will have an Aliyah in Gan Eden. Amen. I did have the merit and the privilege of knowing her for many years, me as well as many of the great rabbis that visited our congregation, especially in the early days, and was a home was full of Akhnasat Orhim, always setting up magnificent Shabbat and holiday tables and having a magnificent and beautiful personality that warmed the heart. And Kadosh Baruch Hu had different plans, and in a young age he took her back with him. But nevertheless, her merit, her smile, her presence, her derecheres, and Irat Shamayim, it definitely something that remains alive and well. So Yiratzon that she will be a Militzai Yosher. She will be a good advocate in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the well-being of her husband, her sons, children, grandchildren, great-grandchild, and all the wonderful friends that came to listen to words of Torah in her loving memory. Amen. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam She'akol Nihiyah Bidbaro. Okay, we continue with our newly established tradition of learning a pasuk or two from Shlomo HaMelech, the book of Mishle. And the book of Mishle, the title is Mishle, which comes from the word mashal. Mashal, loosely translated, is an example, but actually means a parable. Shlomo HaMelech, Ahacham Mikol Adam, the wisest man of all mankind, blessed with godly wisdom, as the pasuk says, Ba'amonai Natan Chochma Lishlomo. The Almighty gave wisdom to Shlomo HaMelech. So many of the pesukim of Mishle are actually lessons for a very meaningful life. And when I say the word meaningful, it not only means on the concept of meaning, but actually to live a better life, a happier life, a life that we become better and better and better constantly. So right away, we come across Pasuk number 13, and it says as follows, Meshiv Ra'ah Ta'at Tova. If a person returns bad after someone did something good to you, Lo tamush ra'ah mi beto. Headaches will not leave you alone. Allow me to explain. The Mefarshim explains, a person did a favor to you. What is the first thing you do when somebody does a favor to you? Besides saying thank you, you will hope to have an opportunity to reciprocate. Literally, to reciprocate to the person. You gave me a hand, comes around, you give a hand. Lo tamush ra'ah min beto. What happens here? The Mefarshim explain about a very detrimental type of behavior, but that we need to run away from. And this behavior is called in Torah language kafui tova. Kafui tova means to become an ingrate. You become ungrateful. You complain too much. That type of behavior. The more you complain, the more we show ungratefulness. Instead of showing gratitude, we show the opposite. So the Mefarshim explains here, Mehamat she'haya kafui tova. It says because this person was not an ingrate. So what happens now? The moment the person may come and have additional needs in life, his nature, that's what I understand from the Mefarshim, causes that people stay away from that person. And it is true. Let's be honest. All right? Let's be honest. I'm the only one talking. Enjoy the magnificent breakfast. It really looks good. Unbelievable. Okay? Unbelievable. I'll eat after. Don't worry. Usually I eat something after, but don't worry. Somebody is preparing for me already. Yes, of course. But very thoughtful of you. So basically, what happens? If a person is capable of being an ingrate, so by default, I believe that Shlomo Melech is hinting us that person is not a very pleasant or positive person. So the more the person displays these complaints, a person that complains, and there are people that are expert complainers. Nothing is good. Always. Always learn how to criticize. They always find what to say in a negative way. So Shlomo Melech is telling us, no wonder that some people will stay away from such a type of personality. Why? Because criticism, again, if the criticism is constructive, you do it tactfully, you do it respectfully, you do it with love. But sometimes when people give you a criticism, they bring like the Uzi. Right. They bring the Uzi. It's like somebody talked to me about the Kiddush. He gave me a whole list of suggestions for the Kiddush. I listened. I said, you know what? I have a better idea than your 15 comments. From now on, you're going to be in charge of the Kiddush. You order it, you coordinate with the workers, you set it up, you pray early so you can handle it, and after 2-3 weeks training, you come back. I finished saying, Rabbi, forget about it. It's not for me. I said, okay, so what are you complaining about? No, because I like to see and comments. Say, do me a favor. I got plenty of comments without you. Obviously, everything, I was saying it in a laughing manner. But, inside of me, I'm saying, Ribono shel Olam, we had a magnificent Shabbat prayer. Beautiful Kiddush. Everybody's enjoying it magnificently, especially with the beautiful weather we had the past few Shabbatot on the outdoors because we don't fit in the lobby. And the only thing you have to do is to complain. I told them for the past 3-4 weeks, I have not seen one maza from the Kiddush. And I'm the rabbi of the shul. Says 0. By the time I get there, chalas. And every week we order more. It's not like we are lowering the order. Right. It's a takeout service. I didn't know we do takeout. Hamavdil. But I'm only bring this. And allow me to bring one more example, which I think that is imperative, not only for Shalom Bayit, but it's also imperative for education of our children. Educating our children. Remember the past few days, even yesterday, we spoke about the pride that grandparents have with the grandchildren. Now, let me ask you a question. What will be, God forbid, if your grandchild, instead of coming to the synagogue, he doesn't come at all? And instead of praying in the synagogue, he doesn't pray at all. In other words, whatever you would have wished for is not happening. What do you need to do? You need to pray a lot. Correct? We'll agree on that. But I'm going to tell you something that can be done that can definitely have a positive side effect. And again, somebody may be listening to what I'm saying now is, Rabbi, I wish I heard your speech 50 years ago. True, but guess what? It's never too late. Nobody stops us from praying to Akadosh Baruch Hu for solutions and salvations. Nobody. Whoever is telling you it's too late, stop praying because you're wasting your prayers, don't believe that person. Because prayers do help. Prayers activate salvation. Besides what's written in the holy books. I'm telling you now from personal experience, prayers help. I pray every day, but not shaharit minhan arvit. That's something that everybody does. I pray separately. Sometimes the prayer is 15 seconds. Whatever you want to call it. Just say to God, God, I have to give 3 classes today, 2 classes today. I have an important meeting. I have to deal with a challenging situation. Help me. That's all. Sometimes that's all you need. God, please, I'm calling customer service. I need customer service. And you know what the Navi writes? Karata baya'aneni. God says, call me and I will answer you. Unbelievable. Can you imagine yesterday, somebody showed me a clip of President Trump. You heard the new shtick? The gold card, right? How much is the gold card? 5 million. Nice. Not bad. Can you imagine gold card? We're going to raffle the gold card maybe. What do you think? Nice. Unbelievable. They give you an idea already. But what's the hokmah? He's smart. 5 million. They vet the person, give him the expedited processing, and America benefits. That's the bottom line. And everybody is excited, by the way. I already have 3 people today from outside of Miami ask me, Rabbi, do you know an attorney that can do the processing for me? True. From South America. 3 of them. I said, I'm not involved with this matter. You want an immigration attorney? You know, maybe have somebody on my speed dial for specific cases, but I don't know nothing about it. Now, they think that I am a friend of the president. I you know, who am I? Nothing. But I'm going to tell you one thing that you should do and one thing that you should not do. And I'm going to speak about this topic because I believe that we have more power than we believe that we have. We have power. We have potential. Hashem gives each and every one its own level of strength. Maybe, you know, I may be one type of person and he is a different type of person, but supplementing each other, it gives you the good product. That's how Kadosh Baruch Hu creates. The Gemara writes that there are 3 basic differences in the life of a person. One is the way you look, your face. Number 2, the way you sound, your voice. And number 3, what's in your brain. Those are the 3 basic differences between people. The rest is basically the same. You need hands to move. You need hands to touch. You need legs to walk. You have a digestive system. You have the reproductive organs. So what the rest of the body is basically the same. But the 3 things, the voice, the face, and the brain, it's a whole different ballgame altogether. And I said this a few years back. And I remember the feedback that I got, which was good, Baruch Hashem. And I spoke about the concept of the relationship between the people and the synagogues. And I used the synagogues, and you can substitute the synagogues with the schools. And these are 2 critical elements in the life of the person, and especially if you're younger, school may talk to you more than to someone that, Baruch Hashem, the children are already married and build their own home. But I think that the message is exactly the same. And I bring this mashal because I think that we can help or we can create a lot of damage. I'm going to present rather the following scenario when a person, for example, comes to pray and the husband comes back from the synagogue. And then the wife asks the husband, how was shul? You're sitting on the Shabbat table, nice table, Baruch Hashem, and then you engage in conversation. Your wife asks you, how was shul today? And the question was like, nice, beautiful, so nice. And very suddenly, instead of limited and good, you start giving a whole derasha. And you say, the Hazan, the cantor, sang too much. He sang too long, too heavy. The rabbi forgot to look at the clock. He kept talking and talking and talking and talking. The Gabbai thought that today was Simchat Torah. He invited a dozen people to the Sefer Torah. The menu, it wasn't, it was maza and salads and cakes and fruits and pastries. What's wrong with that? So imagine yourself what goes out, what goes into the brain of the wife, and especially the brain of the children if they are listening to such a derogatory report about the synagogue. Hazako Baruch. That comment, even though you say I'm not lying, I'm saying the truth. Hazako Baruch. But guess what? Not all the time you have to say the truth. In what sense? I'm not telling you to lie. And I'm saying, how was shul? Very nice. Baruch Hashem. Beautiful. What do you have to handpick on the Hazan? Handpick on the food? Handpick on the rabbi? Handpick on the sponsor? Oh, he sponsored that type of kiddush. He can do better. Don't you see what he drives? You cannot believe it. You believe it. But there are people that they cannot help themselves. There are people who always look for the Shechorah. There are people that in Purim is their Tisha B'Av. True, by the way, I know a handful. Don't try to get on that list, please. I beg you. I beg you. Don't register for that list. Go to the Purim list. All year long. Hazako Baruch, look at a beautiful smile. Okay? But imagine yourself the opposite scenario. How was shul? Magnificent. The Hazan, beautiful prayers. What a nice kiddush. What a words of inspiration the rabbi gave. Everybody was happy. There was a bar mitzvah and they sang song and the bar mitzvah boy read nice aliyah. What difference does that make in your home, in the ears of your wife, but especially in the ears of your children? Because you can tell your child indirectly, they're just eating. And if you think for a moment that children are not listening and are not watching, go see an eye doctor and go check your ears. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avot calls the child sfog, a sponge. The child absorbs to whatever you expose them to. Him or her, it doesn't matter. So if the child hears, if the child hears of the goodness of the shul or the school, imagine yourself that a parent says, oh, that teacher is a disaster. That principal doesn't know what he's doing. Can you imagine with what kind of mindset the child goes to school? He says, my mother said that the teacher doesn't know what they're doing. So you don't learn. You don't learn. So we can inspire our kids by our own behavior, our own comments, our own statement, or we can hurt them indirectly. God forbid. Next pasuk. Poter maim reshit madon. Here, this particular pasuk discusses the topic of Torah learning. Poter maim means the one that exempts themselves from water is the beginning of judgment. What does this mean? This particular pasuk is stated towards a person that steers a fight, a troublemaker, instigator, a Baal Mahloket. On a deeper level is Poter Maim, one of the first type of judgment that the Neshama experiences after 120 is about Torah learning. So it says, Poter Maim, if you did not learn Torah, Reshit Madon, that's your first question. In other words, why you didn't learn Torah? Work classes available. There are itorah.com, there are shiurim online. The rabbi gives classes every day. Go early minyan, later minyan, go upstairs. You have all kinds. So that's what the pasuk says. It says, bottom line, make sure that your life doesn't go without Torah learning. That is one of the questions the Gemara brings down in Masechet Shabbat. Kavata itim la Torah. What's the meaning of kavata itim la Torah? Setting up fixed time daily to learn Torah. Like the person cannot survive without breathing, without water, without food, also the Shema needs to be fed accordingly. Very practical and very beautiful messages of Shlomo HaMelech alav shalom. Now, the Musar of today asks a very good question. How does a person qualifies for Olam Haba? Nice. It's a beautiful question. You can apply for a passport. You can apply for a mortgage. You can apply for a rental apartment. How do you apply for Olam Haba? Olam Haba is considered one of the highest transitions to the Neshama from the moment that a person leaves the world. And there are stages. Don't ask me the names because I barely know a handful of them. But we understand that the Neshama goes through motions. First week, first month, first year. Then you have like today. You have the day of the Yortzeit. The day of the Yortzeit, it's like a day of auditing to the Neshama. They look at the Neshama, okay, Chazako Baruch. Let's see what was it done on your behalf. Oh, Kaddish was said on her behalf, get an upgrade. Torah learning in her memory, update. You have a candle lighting, upgrade. Tzedakah on the day of the Yortzeit is very good, another upgrade. Oh, you've been saying Kaddish since Shabbat night, the way our tradition is, update. So suddenly, the Neshama was, thank you, Rabbi. Nice. What is this? Oh, beautiful. That's our Kolel campaign. Nice. Beautiful. You have the credit card machine handy? Chazako Baruch. Thank you, Rabbi, for making our life easy. This is to support our yearly Kolel campaign, we just began. Baruch Hashem, whatever you can do to help us out. Tabo Alechem Beracha. Just to give a 30-second intro to the Kolel. The Kolel opened up a couple of years, only 5 years to my recollection. Baruch Hashem is called the Ezra Franco Kolel at the Edmond J. Safra Synagogue. And Baruch Hashem, goal of the Kolel is to produce future spiritual leaders to the Sephardic communities, especially in South Florida. We are very proud to say that at least half of the rabbinical scholars already are occupying part-time positions in Sephardic synagogues, including ours, and some transition from our Kollel to the community high school known as Or HaTorah, which is something magnificent. So whatever you can do to help us out, Tabo Alechem Beracha. We have the credit card machine outside. We have the QR code available. And there is a nice menu, by the way, of options. So Hazako Baruch, let's continue. So the question is, how do I apply to Olam Haba? How do I apply? I want to qualify for Olam Haba. No one is guaranteed, by the way, that you reach Olam Haba. The Teshuvah is a given, but I don't want to go to the process, Teshuvah, cleansing, waiting. I want to invest now. I want an IPO. I want to handle it today so I get my dividends when the right time comes. Hopefully Mashiach comes any moment, but at the end of the day, the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, Kol Yisrael yesh lem chelek le'olam haba. Every Jew has a share in the world to come. What that Mishnah means, imagine yourself, you want to travel to Israel. How many options do you have to travel to Israel? Today you may say you have 3 options, 2 options, Chazako Baruch. But let's put the current situation in Israel. You have maybe 20, 30 options. The question is, how many hours you want to be traveling? You can pay premium ticket and you go with El Al non-stop, or you can take 3 airlines and the trip instead of 14 hours will be 37 hours, 45 hours, 29, half the price. But you arrive to Israel like haroset, like a filter fish, all mush. You need a week to recuperate. I said gefilte fish because you have customers, okay? At least a handful. Anyways, so I want to take the expedited version to get Olam Haba. The Mishnah says, Kol Israel yesh lem chelek le'olam haba. Every Jew eventually reaches Olam Haba. The question is, how? How fast did you get to Olam Haba? You left Gan Eden Olam Haba, or maybe you left the world, Gehinam, a couple of years, and then, that's why I'm trying to be more graphic, so you understand. Or you got stuck in traffic. No, you need 10 years in Gehinam. No, you, God forbid. God forbid, Haz v'shalom. I'm only throwing fictitious numbers to understand how can I apply for an expedited processing. Immigration has expediting processing. You know that? Tax returns, I'm not sure. Tax returns, I'm not sure. But if you want to apply for certain steps or certain matters related to immigration, you pay the fee and you get an expedited processing. Instead of snail pace, you get fast, nice. So now the Musar of today says, Gemara Sanhedrin, and it says, they send the question from where? From Eretz Israel to Babel, where the great Hachamim of the Talmud were. So they ask, Ezehu ben Olam Haba? Give me a formula. Who qualifies for Olam Haba? Listen to the answer. Anvatan, a humble person. Anab. Ushfal Berech, that basically a person that it's not humble, but keeps a low profile. That's basically what it means. Begariz de oraita tedira, and learns Torah on a regular basis. Velo mahazik tibuta lenafsha, and the person doesn't take credit for anything that they do. In other words, they understand that in on milebado, only Hashem. And there are people who believe in this concept. There are people who believe the opposite. Go further. Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when Mashiach comes, B'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu liot atara berosh kol tzaddik, is going to be like a custom-made crown to the tzaddikim, a gift from God, a keter. Usually we give the crown to God. This Gemara says true, but God says, okay, now it's time to recognize the valedictorian of the world, right? Relax. There's competition on that position. Sure. I use a college, a school language so people can understand. God says, I like to acknowledge special people. God says, here is the credit to Abraham, Isaac, Yaakov. When I say Abraham, Isaac, Yaakov now, I don't mean Abotenu HaKedoshim, because they are already on the elite panel. But I'm saying from the people of the world. Who were those who truly acted in this way? And the Gemara brings different statements, and it says, Dehiu Ze'ir Ihurav, Uman Dehiu Rav Ihu Ze'ir. It says, the more humility the person has in this world, the more magnified he will be up there. But if you're a big shot here, and you make a lot of noise in a negative way, in Shemaim, okay, go sit in the back, please. Who you're here to do? Don't tell us what to do. That's what the Gemara explains. And the Gemara calls one more thing. There was a great prophet in this week's parasha, in the Zohar. The Zohar in Parashat Terumah talks about, I'll finish now in 2 minutes, about a prophet called Yehezkel ben Buzi. Yehezkel, the prophet Ezekiel, right? His father was called Buzi. Now, what's the meaning in Hebrew of the word Buzi? From Bizayon, the mistreated one. What's your father's name? Oh, my father's name is mistreated. Mr. Mistreated. And the Zohar Kadosh says, what kind of name is that? Imagine if somebody asks you, what's your name? Moshe. And what's your father's name? Garbage can. Buzi is bizayon. We pray for this every day. Al tevieni lide bizayon. I don't want to be insulted. I don't want to be mistreated. How will you feel if, God forbid, somebody screams at you? Chazak Baruch. You feel embarrassed. It brings the person down. So how come the father of Yehezkel HaNavi was called the belittled one? So comes the Zohar HaKadosh and it says, שהיה מבזה ומשפיל את עצמו בפני הגדול ממנו. He knew how to take a step back and to recognize those that were better and greater than him. It's not so easy to do that. Believe me, as a rabbi, I can tell you. It happened to me yesterday. Somebody asked me to do something. And I said to him, great idea, but I don't think that I can do that without asking permission. From whom, he asked me? From another rabbi. I said, you need to ask permission from another rabbi. Yeah, now my ego is inflated. You, Rabbi Galimidi, needs to ask permission from another rabbi. I said, of course. How come? So I explained to him. To you, I may be Rabbi Galimidi, but to a colleague, I'm a colleague. How can I do something on his behalf without asking permission? So you know what I did? In front of this person, I said, wait a minute. I'm going to place a phone call to the rabbi. He didn't pick up. I recorded a voice note, and the rabbi, in less than 2 minutes, sent a message. Rabbi, thank you very, very much for your thoughtful question. What's the rabbi saying? Thank you for asking. And this person froze. Says, I don't understand. How come? I said, I may be to you Rabbi Galimidi, but that doesn't mean that Derech Eretz is not part of who we are. Big deal. Big deal. Somebody asked me, why are you sitting on that table outside? I said, what's the problem? It's a table. Table, no, you need to be in the front. Okay, but today I sat in the back. Big deal. And it says here that Yehezkel's father had this midah. He didn't think he's better than others. He put himself on the same level. And if he came across somebody big, he will take a step back. How does the Hashem calls them in the Pasuk? Ben Adam. Ben Adam. It says, the Zohar Kadosh, Madela Ikreachi Barna Shahara. It says, no person was called Ben Adam. Adam, we call Adam Arishon because from the Adamah. But the Kadosh Baruch Hu calls the person Ben Adam. It says Adam Shalem, because this person developed himself to become the best product that he can become. Deep, powerful. And then continues, and it says, why the Torah is compared to the water. So the Pasuk writes in Yeshaya Navi and explains, what is the nature of water? The water goes always down. That nature is humility. So it says, water gravitates towards humility. If you learn Torah and you are humble, the Torah has an effect. But if you learn Torah and you continue being a big shot, the Torah is not doing any effect. Powerful message. I'm not saying that automatically from now on we're going to say, okay, from now on I'm going to be humble. From now on I'm going to lower my head. From now on I'm going to sit in the back. I'm not telling you to change, but I'm telling you change. Change in the sense of think, be nice to people, be respectful of others. We agree to disagree. Sometimes when people have difference in opinions, suddenly they may say, you don't know what you're talking about. And you know what you Hacham Shlomo HaMelech, you are you Malakayam. So there is a refined way of saying, we agree to disagree. How many times the Gemara, I finish with this statement, says, Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim Chaim. Both are right. That's why when the Gemara comes to an inconclusive crossroads, what the Gemara says, Tiku, no winner, like a soccer game, Tiku. תהיה מונחת שיבוא אליהו, תשבי יתרץ קושיות והוויות. Let Eliyahu Navi give the answer when he comes prior to Mashiach's arrival. Okay, my good friends? Okay, let's do Kaddish Al Israel and Ashkava immediately. Those who are planning to go to the Bet Haim, please let's leave immediately so we can be there in a timely manner. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen be'amen. Rabbi Hanania ben Akashia Omer, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא